Now we're going to look at using a 3D image that we've prepared as the foundation for our next set of generations. So if we come over to Create, there's one that says 3D Base. So this has been tuned to take 3D types of images of various types. They can be very basic or they can be very detailed, and use those as the foundations for our generations. So I'm going to come over, add to the add or drop an image base, and we're going to upload our 3D image. Now before we do that, let me just come over to Stratus Design 3D. I have just hacked out, just basically formed a really basic type of scene. You can see it looks like maybe a dining room. I've put in some chairs and a very basic table, and I've just roughly designed the shape that I want for my scene. And this is the great thing about this, is that you can do something very basic like this. However, let's say that I do know that while the room structure is really basic, I would like the chairs and the table to be more designed, that I like them to be the way that they are. And so this is where you can come in and you can put in assets that have the more carefully designed features that you want. So you can mix and match, which is really cool. So let's go back over to Envizia and we will load that in. So we just come in, and you can do just a very basic rendering. Like this, I just created this really simple clay type of rendering. Now, the thing to note is you can see that there is a little bit of color in the chair. When you import data into these create regions, it ignores color. It only looks at shades of information. So that's really the thing that you want to pay attention to, is that you're just communicating enough information to it that it can see the basic shading and contouring of everything. Okay, so we will go ahead and load that. There we have it. And then we just have to put in our prompt. So I'm going to paste that in. An upscale Art Deco style modern dining room interior with elegant and sophisticated dark wood paneling. The wood has a subtle polished finish, and the decorative moldings have gold leaf accents and fixtures. The floor is of white marble tiles. So you can see I've just gone through and I've given it descriptive enough information to work with, and then we click Generate. And there we go. So you can see just with the basic prompts and that super basic input, you can get really cool things right off the bat. Now let's say that you wanted to play around with some other ideas, and this is where this system is really fantastic at generating ideas and just playing around to get inspiration for a project. I'm going to put in a slightly different variation, an upscale modern dining room interior with a mixture of influence from 1970s design aesthetic featuring green colors and elegant and sophisticated Art Deco styling, including dark wood paneling on the walls. So I've just changed the prompt a little bit, and let's see what it gives us. And there we go. So I've got just this other variation that I can work with, and it's really cool. I think it's just a lot of fun to play with these influences, just to see the kind of design ideas that they can give you. Let's come back to our original prompt and our original image. You can spend a lot of time trying to play with the prompt to get it the way you want, but this is where using an image reference to give it more detail and to give it more possibilities to draw from is really fun and useful. So let's add a reference, which is just an image we can upload, or it can even be something we've already generated. In this particular case, I just went to like one of those free public domain image services, and I found this. And I thought this would be interesting to have it pull colors and shapes and so on as just a way of influencing our prompt and our source image. So we'll go ahead and load this up. And there we go. So now we just sort of specify the strength. The lower the amount, the more subtle the influence, and the larger the amount, the higher the value, the stronger it will be. So let's just go ahead and go with this 41, and we generate and see how that influences our interior dining room scene. And here we are. So you can begin to see it subtly influencing the shape and the nature of our scene. So this is where it's fun. You can just come up and progressively increase the influence, and we'll do another one. And there we go. So you can see now that this has pulled much more influence from my reference image, and I really like that. I think it's just really fun to play with these reference images because they can add things that are just really hard to capture in just a prompt. I want to give you an example now of something where we've been much more careful and meticulous about designing a scene with much more specific detail. So if we look in Design 3D, you can see I've set up a bathroom scene right here where I have gone to the effort of really putting in a lot of detail. And so this is going to be our input. So let's jump back over to Envizia, and all we have to do is load it. And then we just put in our prompt. So I've already written this out. A modern bathroom with mid-century modern retro vibes, white and yellow wall tiles, black and white marble floor tiles. And so I give it just some of the basic descriptions. And when we generate, that much more specific input will allow it to create something that is much closer to what we very specifically set up in our 3D program. And there we go. So right off the bat, it's done something just really cool that pulls closely from our 3D input. So this is where we could come in and we could do more variations, or we could do a high resolution upscale of it, which I think would be good. I mean, we could play with variations, but I kind of like this. So this is where we would come over to 4K upscale. It has 2K, 4K, and even 6 and 8K. So we'll just go ahead and we will select this. I'm going to turn the texture down because it can tend to be kind of aggressive at adding textures. So I'm going to bring that down. Image strength, I want it to be careful about not changing my input image too much, but now we'll generate to get a high resolution 4K image. And there we go. So now we just need to download that. Now let's say that we want to move the camera through the scene in a video. So we're going to come over here to video, and we just need to bring in that final image that we just generated. So we'll come over here, let's select from a previous generation, and we just pull in that 4K rendering that we just did. Now we just come over and give it a prompt for the motion that we want in the scene. So my prompt is move the view smoothly much closer into the bathroom so we're looking at the sink area as the focal area of the view, and then you generate. And here is the final video. We can play that and we can see that it moves it into the scene for us, which is really super cool.